good while since we've seen a new Ratchet and Clank game, and even longer since we've seen a proper continuation of the ongoing continuity. After finally having played Rift Apart, I can say that this is definitely the welcome return to form that fans, myself included, have been waiting for. Just about everything has been enhanced, from the gameplay, to the visuals, to the scope, and definitely the story. I'll say that this is without a doubt the best looking game on the PS5. The colors are vibrant and diverse, the attention to detail is stunning, and the particle effects from each explosion and anomaly are very lively. I'm actually really happy that I can say this about a Ratchet and Clank game. Even they look better than ever. The character models have been updated since the PS4, and they now show an even greater level of detail. Ratchet's fur now moves much more independently and reacts to changes in the wind, and even has a realistic shine when it gets wet. Clank has a sharper metallic sheen, but I'm especially impressed with the detail in his eyes. They look like they're made up of several smaller lights as opposed to two big lenses. Okay, I'm really excited to talk about the story, so let's get into it. Upon starting the game, my first thought was thank God for multiple save files. It only took 5 installments for Insomniac to come back to their senses. The adventure begins, as Ratchet and Clank are preparing for a parade in their honor hosted by Captain Quark. Okay, so I do need to address that Jim Ward, Quark's original voice actor, has officially retired from voice acting due to ongoing health-related issues, including a near-fatal encounter with COVID. This time, Scott White has taken over the role, and I'll say that he's not a bad replacement, but the change is audibly noticeable. As Ratchet and Clank begin the parade, the game does provide a short recap of the events, which is nice for returning fans. Insomniac is aware that a lot of people are coming to this game after the reboot, so the game doesn't heavily expel the lore of the series and simply focuses on the major plot points. They don't go into too much detail, but it's nice to see it acknowledged. At the end of the presentation, Clank reveals to Ratchet that he has rebuilt the Dimensionator with the hopes that Ratchet will be able to reunite with the other Lombaxes, something that Ratchet is still hesitant to do. At that moment, Dr. Nefarious returns and steals the device for himself, hoping to open a dimension where he can easily become the ruler of the galaxy. Aided by Thugs for Less, who I guess have rebranded themselves as the Goons for Less for some reason, Nefarious attempts to disrupt the parade, but the Dimensionator gets damaged during the fight, causing massive rifts to open across the city. Ratchet, Clank, and Nefarious get pulled into one of the rifts, and are transported into an alternate universe, where Dr. Nefarious' counterpart has successfully taken over the galaxy with an iron fist. The Dimensionator then explodes while damaging the fabric of reality and destroys Clank's right arm in the blast. With the three separated, Clank is met by a female Lombax named Rivet, voiced by Jennifer Hale, while Dr. Nefarious assumes control over the city as he is mistaken for the Emperor. Ratchet finds himself alone, and as he searches for Clank, he learns of an underground resistance movement that opposes the Emperor's rule. Meanwhile, Rivet returns to her home on Sargasso, and as she takes Clank back to her hideout, she learns of the existence of the alternate dimension. After repairing Clank's communicator, she makes contact with Ratchet, and they come up with a plan to rebuild the Dimensionator in order to safely return home and prevent a dimensional catastrophe, which they do in a surprisingly easy way. During his quest, Ratchet meets a small robot voiced by Deborah Wilson that he nicknames Kit, and the two form a friendship even though she fears that she will cause more harm than good. Like Clank, Kit was a warbot who considers herself a defect, but unlike him, she prefers to live in isolation as she loses control of her actions when she's in her gigantic form. After she had physically injured someone, she fears that the same thing will happen again, but still decides to team up with Ratchet despite her self-doubt. The overall story writing is significantly stronger, and every character experiences a compelling arc, from Ratchet getting over his fears of reuniting with the Lombaxes, to Rivet learning the value of trust while overcoming past prejudices, to Clank coming to terms with his own injury while accepting his own faults. The major theme centers around self-acceptance, and the game gets that message across very nicely through the use of several characters' internal conflicts. Even the villains are well written and beautifully contrast with one another. While Dr. Nefarious has become frustrated by his own failures and seeks a desperate means of easy fulfillment, he finds that it isn't truly what he wanted after all. The Emperor, voiced by Robin Atkin Downes, has never been challenged and has successfully taken over the galaxy without any opposition, so he is free to destroy whatever he pleases. This causes him to feel unfulfilled in his own victories and desires more while losing focus on what he has already done.
That's it. Where's the joy? The bliss? The murderous enlightenment? Why don't I feel any different?
Because you equated happiness with success. And now that you've achieved it, life is meaningless.
What could you possibly know about success, you... That's it. I haven't really won yet. There are still so many other dimensions waiting to be conquered!
That is truly brilliant. In addition to the story, the gameplay has also taken a step up as well. Throughout the game, you will switch off between playing as Ratchet and Rivet, and they control exactly the same. They use the same weapons and gadgets even before meeting each other, which is good since the player isn't forced to do everything a second time. I mean, they do give an explanation, but I think some minor differences would have been cool without making the player feel like they're getting half the game. I'm also glad to see that a new set of weapons have been introduced, instead of the same ones that we've had since 2007. I mean, there are a couple of returning favorites such as the Buzzblades and the Warmonger, but the new ones have a lot of charm. There's the Topiary Sprinkler, which stuns enemies by encasing them in decorative foliage, and the Drill Hound, which creates a living drill that launches itself at a target. It's pretty cool, and I have to wonder if this is what became of the cut Revolverator from the first game. The Rhino also makes a return, but it creates widespread explosions by opening rifts to other dimensions. Something that's fun is that you will occasionally see references to other games such as Sly Cooper or a Thunderjaw from Horizon Zero Dawn. The weapons are even responsive to the sensitivity of the left and right triggers, as pulling them gently will have a slightly different effect before pulling them all the way down. Combat in general has been improved, giving you better maneuverability. You have a new dash ability to quickly evade attacks, and this is also useful for phasing through certain barriers. Some areas also have small tears that you can teleport to, giving you easy access around the area, making you feel in control. Oh yeah, for the first time in the series, there's a sprint button. It's a bit pointless, but it's worth mentioning. Even the speaker on the controller gets a lot of use, as subtle sound effects are played for the sake of immersion, from the click of a gun reloading to a character cracking their knuckles. Small details like this really pay off, and they're always appreciated. Some planets make a return, such as Ardolis, but there are a few new locations that are fun to explore. A couple of them even have multiple dimensions attached to them, where Ratchet and Rivet have to teleport between two different realities of the same planet. For example, while creating a new Dimensionator, Ratchet and Kit travel to a planet covered by a tropical ocean where they need to access a forge within an underwater facility. The working facility is in the main dimension, but when they cross into an alternate reality, the planet is now frozen over while the facility is mostly abandoned save for a small robot and a stalking monster. This actually creates a good amount of tension, as Ratchet has to activate machinery while avoiding being spotted by the creature, which is immune to gunfire by the way. In addition to that, Ratchet and Rivet can also use their tether to open pocket dimensions in various areas which serve as small platforming challenges that reward you with armor sets. A cool thing about the armor sets is that they are a fun collectible item in-game, and once you gather a full set, it will offer a special bonus, so they are a bit more than just a nice cosmetic item. Other fun gameplay features are the ability to ride speeder beetles to traverse acidic lakes, hoverboot sections, a simple battle arena, and a new hacking game where you play as a small digital program named Glitch who can destroy computer viruses and grant access to new areas. Even Clank has some fun puzzle sections where you have to connect orbs to a path to get his possibility clones to reach the other side. How this works is that you throw the orbs into their direct path or to obstacles to raise them or speed them up so that the clones can activate the portal on the other side. It's a bit complicated to explain, but it's better tutorialized in-game. All of these are really fun to play through, and I never felt like I came across a dull moment. The gameplay as a whole is very action-packed and cinematic, as several events and cutscenes will occasionally play during these segments. The game is very committed to its presentation, and it pays off, making this installment the most exciting entry in years. Even the soundtrack is beautiful. Mark Mothersbaugh was the composer for this game, and he truly did an outstanding job in bringing this world to life, both in gameplay and cinematics. Some of his previous work includes the Lego Movie, Hotel Transylvania, and The Mitchells vs. the Machines. It's also available for download on the PlayStation Store and iTunes, so that's pretty cool since it's been a while since Insomniac listed any Ratchet and Clank soundtrack. Overall, if I had any real complaints, I kinda wish that there was a bit more diversity when it comes to the enemies. They're fine on their own, but it would be nice to see different creatures and alien races. I don't know, just something we haven't seen before. The boss battles are cool, but just like Into the Nexus, the battle arena spoils them by recycling them so the player can fight them again in a more confined space. Again, why not have something new like in the past where you fought specific enemies who were exclusive to the arena? Not to mention, the game can make you fight an undead Grunther long before the game formally introduces you to it, leading to easily my favorite line from Clank.
You said it, pal!
Besides that, I really don't have much else to complain about. I was absolutely enthralled by the character development, the gameplay, and the sense of discovery, making me feel like I was experiencing something new in the series. Finally, photo mode has been introduced, and the game offers plenty of visual stickers, effects, filters, and character poses to play around with. It's actually really fun, and I've already seen a ton of awesome screenshots from other players. With the introduction of alternate dimensions, it does add a ton of unanswered questions, and with that, a lot of opportunities for future installments. I know it will probably be a long time until we see Ratchet and Clank again, but I will gladly anticipate what lies in store. I'd even be open to the idea of having a Rivet and Kit game. With all of this and much, much more, I highly recommend it, and I know that this will be a worthwhile adventure that I will replay again soon.